Boys, it's Chinned. MOICANO and Duncan just wrapped up, and this card was fucking great, honestly. Everybody went into this card thinking it would be really bad. There was only a few standout fights to me. The string of three fights here, Yakyaev, the Ethan Ewing fight, and the Tommy McMillan fight. These were fights I cared about, really, other than the main event. Just everything else panned out to be fucking insane. I did pretty well in picks on this card. I think I went with like 8-4. I did pick Kai Kamaka after this fight was announced. I dropped my picks video before it was announced, but you're just gonna have to trust me, man. I picked Kai Kamaka. Starting with Kai Kamaka, great acquisition by the UFC. Just as far as like, he's a nice prelim stuffer, because he is exciting and he's a dog, and he showed it in this fight. Dakota Hope as well. He opens up very fast in all of his fights. He almost got Kamaka out of there on a couple occasions. Just a fucking good fight, man. Good scrap. Was a front runner for the fight of the night until later on in the card. Really good shit. Good short notice fight. Just good performance. Overall, Dione Barbosa versus Melissa Gatto. This fight happened. I will not. Yeah, I don't really. Yep, we all know. Azamat Bakoyev versus Tresean Gore. So this was interesting. I picked Bakoyev. I thought he'd flatline or whatever, destroy, just steamroll Tresean Gore. And it's a shame because there was a point in time where Bakoyev was one of my favorite prospects in the division. And he just hasn't panned out to be anything like what anybody thought he'd be. He lost to Yusri, and that was a big shock, but, the losses aged well. And now you're looking at a point where he's losing to Tresean Gore, and I can't even justify it. Because Tresean Gore is one of the worst signed fighters in the history of the UFC. And I don't care how many people he keeps beating. I'm going to keep saying that. He's not good. And losing to him means you're not good. And I still like Bakoyev, but I don't think he's good anymore. Like, I really don't think he's anywhere near good. It's a shame, because he's in his prime, but his record is padded. Tresean Gore, you're getting chinned in your next fight, buddy. Moving on, Alice Pereira versus Haley Cohen. I said it in my last instant reaction video, the Adesanya card. You can go back and check. There's something in the water. Most women's fights are actually fucking good. There were 2 duds on this card for the women's. But this was fucking crazy. This was fucking crazy. She just Cohen's dominating, not dominating. Pereira was having her moments on the feet, but Cohen, was definitely winning the fight when this happened. And then Pereira just fucking jumped knee right to the fucking chin. Puts her out cold. Just, you don't see that in women's MMA. And we're seeing a lot of flatline KOs happen recently. Something's going on here, man, and I like it because it's making this shit watchable. I'm paying a little more attention now. This is fucking awesome. Good for her. She deserves that bonus. Moving on, Darius Flowers versus Lando Venata. I picked Lando Venata, I believe by TKO. I think I was on the fence about it. I picked TKO. And he was looking good. He was kind of in a flow state until he pulled Gilly on Flowers and then got slammed on the back of his head and injured something, or something went wrong. Regardless, what do I even say about this? I don't think Darius Flowers is UFC level. I think he got kind of lucky. And he even said it himself. He's been in the UFC for 4 years, and this was his first win. So no consequence, no reason to talk about it. Moving on, Alessandro Costa versus Stuart Nickel. I said that Nickel would be kind of a tough cookie. I said that. I said people are overlooking him, and he's not just a can. But Alessandro Costa, man, he put on a technical masterclass. Nickel had his moments, and he was by no means a can in there. But Costa just, you can see why he was such a big favorite. He had the footwork of a future top 10 guy. The defense, the striking, the combos, everything about this guy is very, very exciting. He has, especially for a 25er, infinite potential to become a top 10 guy, in my opinion. He's young, he's right in his prime, he's 30 years old. He's got defense like that, he's got fucking footwork like that, combos like that. He's chopping people to the body after a dogfight and getting TKOs. That's a fucking prospect you want to look out for. Big Alessandro Costa fan after this performance. Sick fighter. Moving on, Thomas Peterson, Guilherme Pat. Like, it's every fucking week, man. It's every fucking week, bro. It's every fucking... I don't give a shit if he dropped him in the third round. This fight was fucking buns, dude. Jesus Christ, bro. What the fuck are we doing? Jose Delano versus Robert Ruchala. Holy shit. This fight was fucking crazy. Now, Ruchala has had a terribly unlucky draw in the UFC so far. I believe he's 0-2 in the UFC now. Will it tell me? Let's check. 0-2, right. And he had his moments in the Gomez fight, and he had his moments here. He's better than the record makes him look, you know, the 0-2 record. I think he's going to get some wins in his next few fights, as long as the UFC gives him somebody actually beatable. I mean, he's getting a fucking tough draw. Jose Delano, one of the most impressive debuts I've seen in years. And the entire time while I was watching him piece up Ruchala, you know, for the 12 minutes or so that he really dominated that fight, I was thinking to myself, 145 is in fucking great hands. I mean, you have Delano, who is showing very high-level striking, pretty good defense, really good footwork, great takedown defense. He's good in the clinch. I mean, he's got good volume, good combos, good cardio, good power. I mean, this guy is fucking awesome, and people should be talking about him. I want people to talk about him like people were talking about Leary and Douglas, because I don't think Leary and Douglas is good. Okay? I'll be the first one to say this. I'm going to say this right now. Put this on record. 5 years from now. Who gives a fuck? I hope this ages well. I don't think Leary and Douglas is good. But people go nuts for him because he's able to wobble a chinny guy with a jab. Okay? Jose Delano, on the other hand. This is a guy. I want everybody who's acting like Leary and Douglas is a future champion to also suck Jose Delano's dick like they're doing Douglas. Because this fucking fighter, this guy, the shit that he showed in this fight against an insanely high quality opponent, I mean, he looked like a fucking top 10 fighter already, if you ask me. But anyways, back to my original point. 145 is in beautiful hands. The skill set that Delano's showing, you have guys like Steve Garcia coming up, you know, guys like Vallejos. 145 is looking fucking good. Fucking banger fight. Ruchala's an awesome fighter too. This was pretty back and forth until the last... It wasn't back and forth. Like, Delano had most of the dominant moments, but Ruchala had his moments as well. Just a fucking war, man. It was a really, really good fight. Tommy McMillan versus Manolo Zucchini. This card had a lot of this, you know, fights that were supposed to be layups for big favorites. You know, you look at the Tresean Gore fight. And every single one ended up being a pretty 50-50 fight until certain points in the first round, I guess. You know, Tresean Gore wobbled Bakoyev in the first round. Fight just turned. Zucchini had just a 50-50 dogfight with Tommy Gunn here. And this was one of the best rounds I've seen in the last few years, at least. I mean, just awesome. Just an awesome fucking fight. No technique, threw it out the window, at least from the McMillan standpoint. And he just fucking went balls to the wall and was able to overwhelm Zucchini with the pressure. Awesome. You know, I look at him as a fighter that is probably going to get chinned at some point, you know, because let's be honest, he doesn't have good defense at all. And his striking is pretty mediocre, but he's got that dog in him and he's got a chin. It'll take somebody with crazy power to chin him, but it's going to happen at some point if he doesn't patch up that defense. But when I say that, don't think for a moment I will not be rooting for him in every one of his UFC fights, because he is fucking awesome. If you're not a Tommy Gunn fan, I don't fuck with you. All right? I fucking love this guy. Crazy fight, even if it was very close and he should have won it dominantly. Who gives a fuck? It was awesome. He's going to grow up. He's in the UFC as a guy in the next few years to be, you know, a Terrence McKinney type or a Drew Dober type, where you know you're just going to get a banger 100% of the time. That's what I believe. He's one of those fighters. And he might not win every single one, but he's definitely going to make you watch. He's fucking fun, dude. All right, the glazing is over. I picked Esteban. Ewing looked fucking great. But I just want to ask one question. Rafael Esteban missed weight twice in flyweight in 3 fights, okay? They force him to move up to 35, and he misses weight here. You're fucking cut, buddy. You're fucking cut, buddy. Ethan Ewing looked like a fucking beast in this fight. And I think that he definitely has a lot of holes in his game, defense being one of them, but his chin is outstanding, so there's that. But throughout this entire fight, he showed pressure like you don't see. Insane volume, great cardio, great power, great takedown defense. Ethan Ewing is the full package. I think he's definitely a top 10 fighter in the future. If he picks the right matchups, if the UFC gives him the right matchups. Because you can't tell me that a guy like this loses to Song Yadong, who I personally think doesn't even belong in the top 10. And maybe that's controversial, but let's be honest, Song Yadong loses every one of his big fights, never really wins any of his big fights. But it's just an example. I think Ethan Ewing could beat a guy like that. So by default, I think Ethan Ewing is a top 10 fighter. Do I think he's this fucking championship top 5 fighter that's absolutely fighting for a title like everybody's talking about him? Like, no. Can I see him getting there? Perhaps. He's got all the tools and he's 28 years old. He's young. He's good, man. He's good. And a hook to the liver, man. You don't see body shot KOs like we've been seeing on this card. That's a high level thing. It's a high level thing. It's a good shot selection is what it shows, and Ewing has that. And with the volume as well, I mean, he's a problem. Great performance, and the fight was awesome. Esteban stood in there until he couldn't handle it in the third. Just good shit. Yakyaev and Brendison Ribeiro. Mr. Beast, man. Disappointing. You don't get caught by Ribeiro twice and panic shoot. You don't. Not as one of the biggest favorites in UFC history. I'm sorry. But I understand he won. He didn't look impressive to me. Brendison Ribeiro, let's look at Yakyaev's last few fights, at least of people that are recognizable. Sircara, listen, Sircara and Ribeiro, to me, are the exact same level. So to have a fight like that with Ribeiro, where you're getting caught a couple times on the feet and panic shooting, the guy's got 10 losses. It's a weak win. It's a weak win to me. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be very good, Yakyaev. That's just what I think. But it's 205, so who knows? We'll have to see. Moving on, Jandiroba versus Tabitha Ricci. Yeah, I picked Jandiroba by a dominant decision. She lost the third, but she won the whole fight pretty dominantly. Good for her. MOICANO versus Chris Duncan. Now, when this fight, leading up to this fight, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I could see Chris Duncan, catching MOICANO. But I saw everybody picking Duncan to, flatline or TKO MOICANO like he's this fucking power merchant. I am sorry. You don't know the sport if you think Chris Duncan is a top 15 level fighter. I don't think I really don't think he's top 15 level. I think maybe top 20 level, but he's a brawler, and he's got good power, but he doesn't have good technique. He doesn't even have a good chin, and his grappling is very, very weak. His wrestling is okay, his top pressure is all right, and he's shown it in his fights, but aside from a lucky guillotine or two that he seems to get in his fights, he strives in a war, and MOICANO just took advantage of how weak Duncan is technically and made him look like a bitch. MOICANO buzzsawed him. Obviously, I picked MOICANO. I was surprised that Duncan didn't have his moments, because I thought maybe you'd catch him on the feet, maybe stumble MOICANO, send him back for a moment, and you'd see them kind of exchange, and Duncan pressures him against the fence, but we had none of that, really. MOICANO just beat the fuck out of him for about 8 minutes. Very, very easy submission win for MOICANO. He looked great. Duncan, he has a glass chin. And honestly, flame me in the comments if you think otherwise. I think Rebecca would beat him in a rematch. I think that was just a perfect circumstance for Duncan, and it was a fight of the year war. I think Rebecca would beat him in a rematch. I think he's gotten fairly lucky leading up to this point. Obviously, he's a short notice replacement, but it's just, to me, the amount of people picking him confidently was weird. But MOICANO looked good. Aside from the kind of layup-y type fight that it looked like, I think he proved definitely that he's still a top 10 fighter for sure. Maybe even top 8 or 7. I think you have to do him and Dan Hooker next. That would be a great fight. There's a story there. They've been calling each other out for a while, or at least MOICANO has. And if not, dude, run the fucking Paddy fight. That would be a great fight night headliner. And it would be a good bounce back for Paddy, because MOICANO has proven to be, he's a little bit of a cockroach in the rankings. People think he's not at this level, and then he keeps proving, well, maybe he is a little bit more skillful than we thought. Very, very good grappling, MOICANO. and honestly pretty defensively sound as well on the feet. He knows how to get the fight to where he wants it, and he's good at that. That's how he beat Benoit. And he had pretty much the exact same game plan here against Duncan, except he just had a lot more time on the feet. It wasn't takedown oriented. Just a fucking good performance from MOICANO, man. Great card. Great card. Unexpectedly great. One of the best Apex cards you'll ever see, really. And this is weeks after the Vallejos card, which I think is the best Apex card of all time, unless I'm forgetting one or two. Yeah. If you like the video, please subscribe. I make instant reactions right after every single fight card concludes. And every Sunday I drop picks for the cards coming up. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, this has been Shind. Thank you guys for watching. I will be dropping the stacked 327 picks tomorrow, so stay tuned. See you guys next time.